What's up, Motive in Motion family? Coming at you with a new video after a little bit of a hiatus because I recently got into a small accident on the street, but I'm all good and just had some time to recover. But anyway, today we're going to talk about branding versus direct response marketing, because we're going to clear out a lot of errors, a lot of issues, a lot of misconceptions and preconceived notions about people starting a brand, starting a business, and figuring out which one's more important. And so today we're going to cover which one's more important, which ones you can focus on when you're beginning, and what the priorities are when you start. With my background of dropshipping and private labeling, creating my own brands, creating my own products, selling on Amazon, selling on my own platforms and my own Shopify stores and businesses, I have figured out the direct response is the fastest way to the sale, the quickest way to get a customer. The direct response marketing aspect when you're beginning is very important, so I like that. I really take that background of what I know and what I've used, and I really implement it with any business that I start, because I understand that the priorities are: number one, get a sale, get a customer; number two, build a presence, make sure that people know about you because you can get more sales, more customers; and three, on your on tried and tested, proven models, make a funnel, make a service or a product that has one commitment that's smaller and it goes more and more and more as you move down the funnel. So every time I built a direct response company, which is the e-commerce company, I've started with the direct response before the branding. As a matter of fact, I've made these sales on the crappiest, ugliest website you've ever imagined. When I first started, I knew nothing about it, so I just made a website, threw it up and made sure that it was alright. Started making sales within a couple of months, just from working hard, getting the right traffic dialed, and putting out that product page how it should have been, and improving it about 1% every single day. If you can get those incremental 1% improvements in your business, then you're going to grow, you're going to make sales, you're going to create, a little niche for yourself as you carve out yourself and your own brand place in the market. So I've started with direct response. I think it's great. That said, every single thing, every experience has led me to the direct response through necessity, because you don't sell stuff without getting the right sales process down and asking for the sale and using persuasion tactics or the psychological triggers that get people to buy, of course ethically, and really creating something that says buy this, create this, get this, you can get access to it. You don't do that without direct response at all, because you can't just say look at my brand and then sell a bunch, because it doesn't really work that way. So when I'm talking about direct response, that's what I've started with and that's what I recommend. But here's the thing: if you're starting a business, if you're starting a brand, you're not just a business that's someone else's brand you're selling. You're not just private labeling, or you're not, well, private labeling is kind of making your own brand, but you're not just drop shipping someone else's brand, whatever, right? That is not a brand. You don't have a brand when you do that. When you do that, you have a business. You have a stream of income that is a business, right? Because you have your supplier, you've got your traffic or your leads coming in, and you have everything on its way to you, and that's how that business is created. It's not a brand. But when you're making a creative brand that is your passion or has something that you know about, that is branding. That's where branding is the aspect is going to come in. It still has to start with sales though. So when you talk about priority, it's the direct response to get the sale, but also when you're growing and expanding, keep an eye on your branding, keep an eye on your marketing and how you're touching the customer every single time, like a email or a list acquisition, or a lead magnet or some newsletter that gives them some value, or educational material, or of course your website, your branding, your logo, your social media. All these things should be sort of templatized in a reasonable way that helps you get the same message in front of the customer in the same approach that they're used to hearing you from. So everything that I do in Motive in Motion, obviously it's the 1% tweaks and changes. I want to improve it every day, but everything is pretty much branded in a certain way. You can look at the Instagram, you can look at Facebook, any covers on my YouTube or Facebook or social media platforms, and even these videos, I try to make it as uniform as humanly possible. And every single day I'll add knowledge and add skills to the repertoire that make it better. But there's a video intro, there's the logo that's consistent, there's the website, the background, the colors, the social media posts on Instagram and Facebook that are branded and templatized in a certain way to be communicated from my brand. So that's important as well. But the first way to get the sale, to get the monetization, is to ask for it, to get direct response, to get good at sales, to market in a specific way, to speak to one customer. And of course, we're going to go through more of these with these superior copywriting sessions. And we've been on this direct response tip for about a couple weeks, maybe 3 or 4 actually, and this is all about how to get the sale, how to ask the customer for the sale, how to convince them to buy into your product, to try your stuff, and of course move them down that funnel line so you understand how to do that, how to get it. And of course the sales are where it starts, and then you can brand out, you can branch out with your brand. So if I really had to answer the question, which is better, branding versus direct response, I try not to will myself into black and white paradigms where it's just one or the other, because there's always a third option, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and it's not which one is better, because they're not diametrically opposed. They're not opposite. They're not this or that. It's not pick one. It's you should try to do one and the other. You should do both. You should incorporate them in a certain way and find that happy medium, just like the balance with almost anything in life. But I would say if you're a beginning entrepreneur, if you're beginning a business, if you're just starting up, you need to be direct response first, because I'll tell you this, an ugly website or an ugly sales letter or an ugly advertisement that has sharp copywriting, good psychological principles, playing on the fears and the pains of the desire of that customer and the prospect, will outsell anything that looks beautiful and that it doesn't communicate well. So literally, it doesn't even matter, you know, copy or design, same type of thing. It's another argument. I think they're both important, but if you had to pick one at the beginning, definitely start with copy, definitely start with the psychology and the prospect of the customer, because you don't want to be shouting at people that don't care about your message. It goes back to market sophistication, which you can check on this channel and on the recent post at motiveinmotion.com. But it's about, if you're starting up, get direct response first, and if you're moving into the other aspects of that, go into your branding, get that sharp, make sure that you're creating that for the long term, and then really just put them both together. But an ugly website will out-convert a site that has beautiful graphics and whatnot, but crappy copy, or it's mistargeted or whatever, you know. And I know that from my experience, from my clients, and from my friends, because I've witnessed it. And it's just a fact that an ugly website that has good copy and psychology will work and will help someone get a sale, because a lot of times, you know, you want to have them, or well, anytime you want to have that trust with them. You don't want to have the, you know, you don't want to have them not trusting you or opposed to what you're selling. But it happens as if some people will have lower standards for trusting a website. If it looks scrappy, you know, you'd be surprised. Some of these ugly websites are outselling a lot of you guys, but it's a fact and it's true, and it really does happen. So in the beginning, start with that direct response. Get the knowledge of branding, get the knowledge of design and graphics and layout and typesetting and all the things that make it really important, and focus on that and tweak it every day, and you'll be able to mesh the two and make them very powerful together. So this is Evan from Motive in Motion. You want to know more, hit up motiveinmotion.com. Peace.